Do you like animals, forests, and oceans? Do you want to protect planet Earth? What can you do every day to make the world a better place? Join Ryan and Ingrid's talk show for the Sustainability Podcast, and you can learn more about what is being done around the world and what you can do at home to make the world greener.
你喜欢动物吗？你喜欢自然、海或森林吗？你想保护地球吗？我们该做什么才能让世界变得更好？请收听 Ryan 和 Ingrid 的节目《永续发展单元》，了解更多世界上已经发生的事，以及在家可以做的事，让地球更绿一点。
Hello everyone, I'm Ryan. Welcome to Ryan and Ingrid's talk show on sustainability.
大家好，我是 Ingrid， 欢迎收听今天的节目。今天我们会介绍永续发展的第3项健康，第5项性别平等，第8项永续的经济模式和第11项永续的居所，还有最后第16项和平的社会，请大家仔细听哦。
Then, after my brother's 4th birthday, my little sister got really sick. She was coughing all the time and had a bad fever. She felt very hot. She cried a lot. We were all very scared. My sister went to the hospital in the city. She stayed with my cousins while the doctors checked her. I missed her. Mom and Dad were not happy. They were fighting a lot. When they yelled at each other, they usually talked about money. To go to town to visit my sister, we had to get checked by the army man. I felt scared because they had guns and were not nice to my family. One time, they yelled at us, and my brother cried. Sometimes Dad gave them money so they would let us go through. My parents said we didn't have money for the medicine my sister needed, and we had to sell our car. I said we could sell my toys too if it would help. My parents decided that we would move to the city. We couldn't make money from our farm, and with no car, we couldn't go to the market or take care of my sister. Mom and Dad said it was better for everyone, but I felt sad to leave the home where I grew up. We had to travel by bus, and I had to leave almost all of my toys behind. We stayed with my cousins in the city. My family all stayed in one room together. It was summertime, and it was very hot. We didn't even have a fan to keep cool. There wasn't enough space for us. I didn't like the city. It was very noisy, and there were too many people and cars. People were not nice to us. They walked very fast and told us to get out of the way. I miss my old home and playing outside on our farm. My dad would go out very early every day and look for some work to do. Sometimes he could get paid to help carry or fix things, but he always complained that his pay was very small because there were too many people from the countryside looking for work. People were working for only a little money, not even enough to live. Sometimes there was no work to do. On those days, he came home very angry. and didn't want to talk to us or play with us. He was a scary man now, very different from my dad that I loved. At this time, there were a lot of angry people. Some were in the streets yelling and fighting with the police. I could hear guns shooting at night. It was a scary time for all of us. My mom would hold me and my brother tight and sing to us, for we couldn't be afraid. It was coming to autumn, and the weather was starting to cool down when we got the bad news. My little sister had died. The doctor said that they didn't have the right kind of medicine because of the fighting in the country. My family was very sad. I still think about her all the time at night and cry myself to sleep. I can't believe I will never play with her again. It's now the winter, and my parents have decided that it is time to move again. They say it is too dangerous here. I don't know where we will go, where we can stay, or how we will get money for food. It's so cold outside right now, but I think we do not have a choice. I hope we can find a better life somewhere new.
So, that's the end of our story. I wonder what will happen to that family. It is hard to imagine that the story could be real.
Even though this story is not real, there are lots of places in the world where these things are happening every day.
I felt really sad when the little sister died.
We are very lucky that we have good doctors, hospitals, and medicine. Remember, in the last episode, we talked about different kinds of poverty. Well, in many places, they cannot get help when they are sick, and it's not always because of money. In our story, the girl died because there was a war and they could not get the medicine she needed, even though they sold the car to have money to pay for it.
Why wouldn't Nadia's parents find an office job? Office job is much easier, and they can earn enough money very quickly, so they don't need to sell their car.
Well, maybe they didn't go to school for those kinds of jobs. If they always worked on the farm, they might not know how to do office work. Also, in poorer countries, there are often not a lot of good jobs, even for people with a good education. Sometimes, people have to take whatever job they can, even if the money isn't enough to buy all the things they need in a day.
But Nadia's mother didn't have a job at all. Why didn't she try to find some work like her dad?
Maybe she tried, but in some places, women are not allowed to do that kind of work. They can only stay at home and do housework. This can be because of a government law or because of the way that people think.
So, can she try to sell things like jewelries or handmade things in the market?
A lot of people do this in poorer countries, but sometimes there are problems there too. The money probably isn't very good, and it can be very dangerous if there is fighting or a war. During this difficult time, there can easily be robberies or stealing. or even bullying of women. Also, there may not be anything to sell, or people might not have the money to buy things.
So I believe people will always be scared during wartime.
Yes, I think it would be very scary. So, that's why we have to promote good laws and peace between countries. Peace is very important to provide people with a stable life. If you're living in a war, you can lose your money, your house, and it can be difficult to find food. War can cause a lot of problems.
So if Nadia's family had to leave because of the war, where are they going to go?
Nadia's family became refugees. Refugees are people that have to leave their homes because of bad things like war and climate change. There are many people like this in the world today. Many refugees live in camps that are dangerous because when there are so many people who live and sleep in the same space with not enough resources like food and water, it can become a problem. Stealing, fighting for food, child trafficking, and even sexual violence can happen. They are trying to find a new, safer, and better life, but it is not easy to do, and sometimes they might end up living in very bad parts of the cities.
I can only imagine.
The story has come to an end, but the problems haven't. In the Sustainable Development Goals, country leaders decided on the problems and asked the people of the world to fight for anything that might make people unhappy. We are all part of the solution. So, let's talk more and think about it together. Maybe one day we will fix things and make all the problems disappear from human history.
这个故事在此告一段落，但是问题还是在世界各地发生，只是身在台湾的我们太幸福了，或许还无法体会。我们可能无法想象这些问题在影响多少人，但是世界的领导人已经在为这些问题寻求解决方案。事实上，地球上每个人都能提供解决方案。或许有一天，我们再也不用讨论17个永续发展目标了，那是因为这些问题都已经被我们解决。
SDG 3 is to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all ages.
永续发展目标的第3项是确保健康的生活方式，促进各年龄所有人的福祉。
Being healthy is important. This means having good food and water, and also being able to see a doctor and get medicine when you need it. A lot of people are working on making this come true. We talked last time about getting food and water for people in poorer countries. Many countries and groups are also helping to build hospitals and teach doctors how to make people healthy. North Korea is one of the most closed and poor countries in the world. Thousands of people there have eye problems and can't get medicine. An eye doctor from Nepal, Dr. Senduk Guit, made cheap ways of helping people with eye problems, and he wanted to help the people with those problems in North Korea. So, he asked the North Korean government if he could go into the country to help the people and make their eyesight brighter. This is Dr. Senduk Ruit's way to help human well-being. How would you help?
你能想象失去健康的生活吗？除了有卫生的水和营养的食物之外，可以看得起病、买得起药也是很重要的。台湾有很好的健康保险制度，这件事是让很多其他国家的人民羡慕的。上次的节目中，我们讨论到贫穷的现象，除了缺乏水资源和食物之外，缺少医疗设施与物品也是贫穷的现象之一。所以许多组织和政府都在帮助这些地区获得医疗建设。北韩因为贫穷，社会极度封闭，医疗资源不易取得，数以万计的人民无法获得妥善的治疗。尼泊尔眼科医师卢特在2007年向北韩申请进入北韩实施义诊，在10天内帮助1000名白内障患者，让他们能重见光明。这是卢特医生帮助人类福祉的方式。您觉得你能做什么呢？
SDG number 5 is achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls.
永续发展的第5项是实现性别平等，增强所有妇女和女童的全能。
It isn't fair if women and girls can't do the things that men can, if they aren't allowed to work, or go to school, or go outside without a man. Around the world, people are trying to change laws and people's ideas so that women and girls can be free to do what they want in their lives.
性别不平等是我们这个时代人权领域的一大痼疾。尽管人类社会多年来推动男女平等，但全世界男女不平等的现象依然根深蒂固。联合国妇女署的一个新活动是由男孩们组成的组织，叫他为了他 He for Her， 以性别平等为主题的团结，发动男孩成为代言人和变革的推动者，以实现性别平等和妇女权利。除了妇女的歧视之外，不同地区对性别都有可能出现歧视。一般都是相信某种性别比其他性别更优越，或者觉得一个人必定属于男性或女性，或者有憎恨男性或憎恨女性的态度。有些地方也出现歧视男性的现象，但比较少，一般还是以歧视女性居多。在泰国，甚至有宪法起草委员会希望新宪法兼容纳入第三性一词，任何人都不应身为男同志、女同志、变装者、变性人而遭到歧视。
SDG number 8 is promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all.
永续发展目标的第8项是促进持久、包容、永续的经济成长，促进实现充分而生产性就业及享有体面的工作。
We talked about poverty last time, and this is very close to that. Without good jobs, people will not have money. We talked about fair trade as a way to make sure that everyone is getting paid enough money.
上次我们聊到贫穷的问题，经济成长与脱离贫穷息息相关。穷人并不是不认真工作或偷懒的人，相反的，他们常常是工时最长、做最多劳动的人。人会贫穷是因为国家的财务制度无法帮助人民脱离这样的经济模式。
SDG 11 is make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable.
永续发展目标的第11项是建设包容、安全、有复原力和永续的城市和人类住所。
The places people live need to be safe for everyone. Sometimes, these places can have too many people and can be very dirty. They are often not sustainable. There are many people trying to help refugees find good homes so they can build a new life. Some countries are letting refugees come and trying to find homes for them. Groups like Habitat for Humanity are helping to build houses for people who need them.
除了以上几个例子之外，永续发展目标的11项也讨论到，由于都市人口不断增加，加上气候变迁导致的极端气候日趋剧烈，水泥柏油路遍布都市丛林，让土地无法呼吸，暴雨成灾的情况越来越频繁。要打造海绵城市，才能在一场又一场的浩劫中幸存。环境品质文教基金会提出海绵城市的愿景，也就是将现今人造城市转为能够吸存水、过滤空气、过滤污染物质的超级大海绵，达到降温、防洪、抗灾、补碳的效益，解决人造城市杜绝水与生态的问题，迈向永续低碳城市。
SDG number 16 is promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. Provide access to justice for all and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels.
永续发展目标的16项是促进有利于永续和和平包容性的社会，为所有人提供诉诸司法的机会，在各级建立有效问责的制度。
In some countries, the laws are not fair, so good people can be put in jail or even killed. Amnesty International and other groups are working to help people get justice. This means making sure that the law is fair for everyone. We have to make sure that governments around the world are doing what is right and not treating people unfairly. If you hear about unfair things, you can tell other people about it and write letters to governments telling them what you think.
国际特色组织是一个以人权为出发点的组织，透过公正的调查和有效的行动，预防或阻止重大人权的侵害。2013年3月，叙利亚政府强行带走一位母亲，叫拉尼亚，与她介于3岁到15岁的6个孩子，从此下落不明。尽管拉尼亚的家人不断要求政府给予交代，包括拉尼亚与孩子被带走的原因， 目前人在哪里、情况如何、法律地位等等。但是到目前为止，2016年，叙利亚政府还是未透露只字片语。我们要怎么帮忙呢？你可以上国际特赦组织的网站，并参与2015写信马拉松联署，告诉叙利亚政府，我们需要知道拉尼亚女孩子们的下落。
We saw in the story how war can cause many bad things. It is not only about people in the army dying. It can also mean that people don't have water, food, jobs, medicine, or homes. We can try and make peace with other countries and tell our governments to be peaceful too. Sometimes wars start because people are angry about their government. We can try and help people find peaceful and sustainable answers to their problems.
希望这些令人心痛的问题能刺激你多想一想问题的源头。如果你有任何问题或建议，欢迎写信给我们。
info.eqpf@msa.highnet.net
下次见喽，拜
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening.